welcome to the debate. Our focus today is pretty interesting, actually. It's on Rich Schefren's ZenithMind OS. Now, this system is a bit of a fascinating outlier in the AI world. It completely bypasses the typical applications we see, like automation and marketing, and instead it focuses entirely on deep personal development and introspection. Specifically, it tackles that pervasive challenge many people face, the knowing-doing gap.
Right, that internal friction. The gap between what we know we ought to do and, well, what we actually manage to execute. It's a really profound central problem, especially for high-performing professionals, entrepreneurs. Schefren himself, the guru's guru, apparently spent, 29 years wrestling with his own self-sabotage, even though he knew all the right strategic moves. He documented that whole internal conflict pretty meticulously, or so the material suggests.
Exactly. And that intense 29 years of effort supposedly led to this solution. So the central question for us today is this. Does ZenithMind OS fundamentally unlock a genuinely new level of personal execution, through its AI-powered cognitive engineering, achieving potentially permanent change? Or does its effectiveness really lie more in let's say, the rigor of its proprietary structure? The brilliance of its design, forcing the user into accelerated self-reflection, but maybe reflection that's ultimately kind of traditional in nature, just faster.
Mm-hmm. And I'll contend that the true sort of revolutionary value here, it's in the structured methodology. It's in the profound commitment that methodology demands from the user. I think the power lies in the process design, not necessarily in the AI engine's intrinsic capacity to achieve, permanent internal fixes beyond what really advanced structured self-reflection already achieves.
Okay, and my stance is that this AI-powered system offers genuinely unique capabilities for making effortless execution the default, this idea of identity-level behavioral rewiring. It does this through a kind of unprecedented objective form of self-awareness that, frankly, I don't think traditional coaching can really replicate.
Position statements. So Schefren frames his program as basically a groundbreaking AI-powered cognitive engineering system. And the goal is to install a high-performance mental operating system. Now, this is far beyond the generative tasks we usually hear about, like writing copy or emails. Its core function is deep pattern recognition. It's designed to understand internal blocks, the unconscious conflicts and friction that hold people back. And key elements of this system rely almost entirely on the AI's capacity for sophisticated processing.
Okay, sophisticated processing, powered by a sophisticated human methodology, wouldn't you say?
Well, yes, exactly, but the AI is the engine that makes it unique. Take the Zenith signature profile, for instance, or the real-time AI mirror. The profile, as described, maps the user's mind at a level, supposedly no human test or coach really can. It provides this crystal clarity on the deepest beliefs, the patterns, the blind spots, and the mirror gives instant objective feedback whenever the user's actions seem to contradict their stated intentions, interrupting negative loops, like right when they happen. The AI here is positioned as a kind of co-pilot, trained not just on you, but to think like you and, critically, to highlight areas that are beyond your own self-perception. This whole thing is built specifically, they say, to solve his own decades-long struggle with execution failure, targeting the root cause of that internal friction.
Yeah, that targeted approach is what I find compelling too, but I attribute the success perhaps differently. Schefren's 29 years of internal documentation, that intense self-study, that's what led to the, let's call it, architectural brilliance of the unique methodology. The highly specific prompting design, the recursive process, that's what constitutes ZenithMind OS in my view.
But you seem to be minimizing the AI's role quite a bit there.
Well, I come at it from a different angle. Look, I'm just not fully convinced the underlying AI engine itself, which, let's be clear, requires a paid subscription to GPT-4 or higher, so it's essentially rented tech, is the revolutionary psychological component. For me, the revolution is the structured proprietary system architecture. It's the unique prompt engineering that forces the AI to delve much deeper than standard inputs allow. And that's what creates these profound outputs like the comprehensive internal world operating manual the IWL manual. The system gets deep results, I think, because it forces the user to provide really detailed, sometimes difficult input. And the testimonials seem to confirm the process is emotionally intense, right? That's precisely because it accelerates self-reflection and forces this confrontation with deep-seated patterns. So the process demands the user do the heavy lifting of self-disclosure. It makes the AI an advanced tool for human effort, not some kind of magical AI fix.
Okay, let's pivot then to that distinction between the AI-driven pattern recognition and more traditional human insight. You mentioned the intensity of the process, and yeah, that intensity is surely multiplied by the AI's just unparalleled speed. Schefren spent nearly 3 decades, you said, trying to understand his own patterns. The AI can process these vast amounts of user input recursively. Sometimes, they claim, the equivalent of those 29 years of journaling, and identify unconscious root causes in like minutes. That capacity for immediate objective root cause analysis, that feels like a massive differentiator to me.
I absolutely acknowledge the profound speed advantage of the AI. That rapid identification of patterns, yeah, that's definitely a breakthrough in efficiency, no question. But that still doesn't quite address the fundamental issue of, let's say, causation versus correlation. The output is still, at its core, a correlation based entirely on the input provided by the user, and crucially, the structure of the prompt, right? So while the insights are rapid, the power I still believe comes from the unique methodology, the playbook, if you will, that Rich developed for interacting with the AI.
But the AI removes human bias entirely, doesn't it? I mean, a coach, no matter how skilled or well-intentioned, is inherently limited by their own personality, their theoretical frameworks, the finite capacity of their attention. The AI, on the other hand, offers objective, non-judgmental, 24/7 support, and it can cross-reference behavioral data with stated goals almost instantly. This isn't just about speed, it's about the quality and the unbiased nature of the insight, which then translates into these actionable pattern interrupt protocols. These are personalized directives designed to prevent that self-sabotage loop from completing itself, something a human coach can really only hope to achieve maybe through hours of retrospective analysis, looking back.
Okay, I agree that the AI's objectivity is a strong benefit. It certainly helps prevent those personality conflicts that can sometimes derail coaching relationships. However, those pattern interrupt protocols, which are, essentially customized behavioral challenges or experiments, they only work if the user actually applies them with rigor and discipline. The testimonials about profound shifts, well, they confirm the power of the process itself, the process of structured confrontation. And that's driven by the user's commitment, guided by the playbook Schefren designed. So, yes, there's power in the accelerated clarity, but that doesn't necessarily mean the AI engine possesses some kind of superior permanent psychological insight compared to, say, years of skilled therapy. It seems more like a high-powered accelerant for dedicated self-work.
But the explicit goal seems fundamentally different than just accelerated clarity. Clarity alone doesn't solve the doing gap, doesn't. Only automaticity really does. The program aims explicitly for making automatic, effortless execution the default state. It's about creating a kind of default operating system that ideally doesn't rely so much on conscious willpower. By helping users make confident, accelerated decisions and providing that instant feedback when they drift via the real-time mirror you mentioned, the system promises to fundamentally change how the user operates, potentially at an identity level. And the promise of lifetime access to every upgrade, that suggests they're aiming for a permanent, evolving internal solution designed to eliminate that internal friction entirely.
That is a very ambitious promise. Absolutely. And I can see why you'd interpret that as aiming for permanent rewiring. But I might frame the need for ongoing support a bit differently. The source material itself explicitly notes the system does not replace therapy for clinical issues, which is an important boundary. And, well, if the AI could truly install a permanent, effortless mental OS that guarantees automatic execution, why is the inclusion of what seems like essential human support and accountability still required?
What specific human support are you referring to there?
Well, the material mentions that Rich Schefren runs weekly live coaching and Q&A calls via Zoom. That sounds like a pretty significant commitment of ongoing human strategic guidance, right? If the AI installation were truly permanent and self-sustaining, these ongoing strategic sessions arguably wouldn't be as necessary. This suggests to me that the AI is a magnificent tool for accelerated clarity and pattern spotting. Yes, definitely. But the actual implementation, the scaling, the maintenance of the resulting behavioral shifts still seems to rely quite heavily on strategic human input and probably group accountability, almost like high-level coaching programs. It acts as an incredibly powerful tool within a larger human-guided ecosystem, perhaps.
That's a critical distinction to make. Okay, but let's clarify the value of the proprietary structure itself, because you keep emphasizing the human methodology, and I agree the methodology sounds brilliant, but perhaps that brilliance lies precisely in its ability to transform what is essentially a generic rented tool, the base GPT engine, into this highly specialized, personalized AI execution system. Maybe the core innovation is Schefren's architecture, the system that forces the AI to build such a deep, nuanced understanding of you specifically, your energy, your decision frameworks, your blind spots. This ability to continuously adapt its personalized approach based on your inputs. Maybe that's the innovative product the user is actually buying into.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely convinced by that line of reasoning, primarily because the program's dependency on an external paid service means the engine is, well, it's rented, not owned or installed internally, right? If the value were truly in the installed OS itself, it shouldn't logically rely on whether you're using GPT-4 or maybe GPT-5 or 6 down the line. It feels more like the user is buying access to Schefren's expertise in prompt architectural design, which is an evolving methodology that has to adapt as the underlying large language models change. In effect, you're purchasing a highly sophisticated, evolving prompt library designed for self-optimization. The investment to me confirms the brilliance lies in the human ingenuity, the methodology, which successfully unlocks the potential of a powerful but generic AI tool, rather than the AI possessing some inherent, revolutionary psychological expertise capable of installing a permanent OS itself. The user is paying for the constant updating of the map, maybe, not the destination itself being guaranteed.
Okay, well, ultimately, I think we can agree that the map, as you put it, is revolutionary in some way. Whether you credit the structure that harnesses the AI or the raw processing capacity of the AI itself, the material definitely suggests Rich Schefren has leveraged AI's unique capacity for this recursive pattern processing. He seems to have created an accelerated, systematic path to dismantling deep-seated internal friction and self-sabotage. ZenithMind OS certainly looks like a powerful departure from standard AI use cases. And it does raise the possibility that the highest utilization of this technology might actually lie in profound self-awareness and cognitive restructuring, not just, external automation.
And I would still insist that the profound and rapid shifts users report are a very strong testament to the unparalleled power of the proprietary ZenithMind OS methodology and, crucially, the user's own commitment to disciplined, structured self-inquiry. The system has clearly cracked some kind of code on providing structure around that frustrating knowing-doing gap.
So the listener is perhaps left to decide whether this is ultimately a tool aiming for permanent internal transformation powered by AI, or simply the fastest, most effective, most objective mirror available for self-reflection today.
Indeed. What we both absolutely seem to agree on, though, is that this intense and sophisticated focus using advanced AI specifically to resolve internal blocks, the very core operating system of the self, well, that represents a highly significant and potentially transformative evolution in personal development tools that's emerging from this source material. Always good discussing with you.
Likewise. Thank you.